It is Tuesday, May 20th of 2025, just so you know. And just so you know the time, it's 3:32 p.m. and the sun is out. The sun is shining. It is kind of cold over here. It's probably like around the 60s. But as you can see the title of this, we are going to be reading the Bible again. Um I'm doing this for my own progress, and I'm just taking you guys along for the progress if you guys choose to stay. Um, really, just being live and reading the Bible helps me out a lot, which is why I did it the last time and why I'm doing it again. Because even though my camera is so terrible, I'm doing this to help myself. So yeah, it's to help me out, and since all the Christian music that I listen to is copyrighted, we are not having any Christian music playing this time because I did get some copyright notice from the last one that I did, because let's see, it had been copyrighted literally the day before it was posted somehow. Because of the Whisper in the Wind song, the Flower song, Everything That Has Breath song, and Turn, the song named Turn. I got copyright claimed from that, so we're not gonna do that again. So right now I just have like copyright free music playing on Spotify. It literally says, whoops, I muted it. It says copyright free beats, and I'm just gonna have that replaying in the background. So today, like, I felt to read this a while ago. I'm also eating, so do not mind my aluminum plate that I created. We do have plates, it's just I needed to put aluminum down to cook these. So I just thought it was better to use the aluminum afterwards rather than just have to throw it out and get a plate, because like the aluminum's technically a plate. But earlier today I woke up and the last few weeks just haven't been great. And I woke up, I literally am so like mentally unstable. Not unstable, but like mental health is kicking hard, right? Right, guys? Life is probably beating us all down right now. So it got so much for me to the point where I literally got to the foot of my bed, knelt down, and prayed to God, which is something I don't do often or at all, really, because I feel like that is weird, which obviously something's wrong with me if I feel like that's weird. So the fact that I was actually like 1,000% willing to do that because of how things are going for me right now is something. That means I'm probably really going through it because I ain't never done that before. But after doing that, I had slightly opened my Bible and opened my notebook that I've been pretty much journaling my life away, and I felt the need to read the Bible. I was going to read a specific page. I was going to read something specific because I had been scrolling through Instagram and found something specific that I was going to look for, but then I came across the book of Esther. So that is what I I, myself, the only person reading, is going to read. I'm going to try and read all the book of Esther. So hopefully what happened last time doesn't happen again, where I got distracted and started searching up a bunch of stuff about, like, oh, this reminds me of this. Let me search that up. Oh, this, like, that's good. But it's like, I want to be able to read this because I feel like I need to read it all. Yeah. Let's put our sleeves up for this. Okay. So, I hope that my audio is louder than last time, but not too loud. Because I realized that my audio is kind of quiet, but also at the same time, there were points where I had gotten a little too loud. And I don't want that to happen. So, I'm gonna start reading. If you guys have the same Bible as me, the New King James Bible, it's page 599. If you have the exact same one, I'm not sure if all of the New King James versions have the same pages and stuff like that. But yeah. It says the new king dethrones Queen Vashti. That's what it says. I don't know why I said that first word. It says Queen Vashti. Now it came to pass in the days of... I have no idea how to say that guy's name. Or girl. I don't know. Ahasuerus? I have no clue. This was the Ahasuerus who reigned over the 120 provinces from India to Ethiopia. In those days, when King Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan. I don't even know. Shushan. I don't know. The citadel. I don't know, guys. I'm so sorry. That in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast for all his official servants. The powers of Persai and Medai, I have no clue. The nobles and the princes of the province being before him, when he showed the riches of his gorgeous kingdom and the splendor of his excellent majesty, for many days, 180 days in all. Okay, so I feel like that's important because, like, the fact that they're specifying that he's boasting about having been ruler for 180 days, I feel like something's gonna happen. So, I'm just like, okay, what's gonna happen next, God? What's happening? So let me just underline this. when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the splendor of his excellent majesty for many days, 180 days in all. And when these days were completed, the king made a feast lasting 7 days for all the people who were present in Shushan. I really don't know these names, guys. I don't understand the names. Also, yes, I'm holding the Bible up with my knees. So, the citadel from great to small, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, there were white and blue linen curtains fastened with a cord of fine linen, and purple on silver rods and marble pillars, and the couches were of gold and silver on mosaic pavement of alabaster, turquoise and white and black and marble, and they served drinks in gold vessels, each vessel being different from the other, with royal wine in abundance, according to the generosity of the king, in accordance with the law. The drinking was not compulsory, for so the king has ordered all officers of his household that they should do according to each man's pleasure. Okay, that needs to be underlined. Ooh, that hurt. I just breathed in and felt like something stabbed my left lung. Okay, Queen Vashti. I don't understand the names. The names of all of these people and cities and all that got my mind scrambled. Queen Vashti also made a feast for the women in the royal palace, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman. That says human. Mehuman. Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, 7 eunuchs who served in the presence of the king Ahasuerus to bring Queen Vashti before the king, wearing her royal crown, in order to show her beauty to the people and the officials, for she was beautiful to behold. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command, brought by his eunuchs. I don't know what that says. Therefore the king was furious, and his anger burned within him. Okay, so let me just. Okay, so on the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded to bring the queen before the king in order to show off her beauty to the people and the officials. So, pretty much when the king was drunk, he had people go to the queen and try and get her to show off herself to everyone because of her beauty. And she refused. Therefore, the king was furious and his anger burned within him. Then the king said to the wise men who understood the times, for this was the king's manner towards all who knew law and justice, those closest to him being Karshina, Sethar, Admitha, Tarshish, Maries, Marcina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Parsia and Media, who had access to the king's presence, and who ranked highest in the kingdom. What shall we do to Queen Vashti according to the law, because she did not obey the command of the king brought to her by the wise men? I'm just going to say wise men because I don't know how to say that EUNUCHS word. Okay. So I'm going to underline that too. The what shall we do to the queen according to the law, because she did not obey the command of the king. Because I want to see what's happening next, because this is getting interesting. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Queen Vashti has not only wronged the king, but also all the princes and all the people who are in the provinces of the king. For the queen's behavior will become known to all women, so that they will despise their husbands in their eyes when they report. Oh wow. Okay, let me get to the end of this. When they report, king commanded Queen Vashti to be brought in before him, but she did not come. Wow. Okay. So, they're gonna punish her because she didn't want to be in the same room as her drunk husband and possibly all the other men who were also drunk, because because it says that she's going to be a symbol to all the women that they should disobey their husbands. It says despise, that they will despise their husbands, but it's technically like that. They wouldn't listen to their husbands. Okay, continue onward. This very day, the noble ladies of Persai and Media will say to all the king's officials that they have heard of the behavior of the queen. Thus there will be no exclusive contempt and wrath. If it pleases the king, let the royal decree. It says decree, like DECREE. Royal decree go out from him, and let it be recorded in the laws of Persians and Medes, so that it will not be altered, that Vashti shall come no more before the king, and let the king give her royal position to another who is better than she. Wow. That's crazy. Let me just... So, since she did not listen to the king because he was drunk and obviously not in the right mindset, she's gonna be replaced. She's being replaced. She is being replaced by someone that they deem is better than she. When the king's decree, which he will make, is proclaimed throughout all his empire, for it is great. It says in quotation marks, no, in parentheses, for it is great. All the wives will honor their husbands, both great and small. Okay, so what I read last time, that's like in a rightful situation. This was not a rightful situation. That's crazy. Like, I understand, like, maybe if he wasn't drunk and she decided that she just didn't want to go to him, then yeah, that makes somewhat sense for back then. But he's drunk. He's drunk and wants to show her off. That's a no. No. They added for it is great as well. As if to like, well, I don't know if that's what it is, but to me that seems like they're trying to copy like what God has said. Because it's like whenever God did something, he'd be like, and it was good. And that says, for it is great. But I don't know anything about this king. So, I don't know if... I don't know what's going on here. Because it seems like he's kind of like... I don't know. And the reply pleased the king and the princes. Wait, so who said that? I'm not sure who said that, but apparently someone had said to the king and the princes that they should do that. That they should replace the queen because of what she did wrong in their eyes. To give an example to all wives that they should honor their husbands. And it says, and the reply pleased the queen and the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. He sent letters to all the king's provinces, I don't know, to every people in their own language, that each man should be master of his own house and speak in the language of his own people. Oh, shoot. It says Esther becomes queen. So Esther is the woman that replaces the first queen for not listening to the king. Oh, so am I in the wrong for thinking that? I feel like I'm in the wrong now because I don't, like, Esther was, I don't know who Esther was really, but that's why we're reading this. That's why we're reading this, guys. Okay, after these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus subsided, he remembered Vashti, what she had done and what had been decreed against her. Then the king's servants who attended him said, "Let beautiful young I don't know what to say for that word. It's a lot of people explain it as a flower, right? Like, I'm just, because a situation happened a few weeks ago where my friend had said something about it. People represent it as a flower, okay? So, I'll just say pure, okay? Just pure, okay? So, instead of that word, I'll say pure. Let beautiful, young, pure, girls be sought for the king. Women, girls, I don't know what to say because obviously it was back then. Females, there we go. Let beautiful, young, pure females be sought for the king, because it doesn't say like girls or females or women. It just says the word I'm replacing with pure, okay? For the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather all the beautiful, young, pure females to Shashan, the citadel, into the women's quarters, under the custody of Hijah, the king's wiseman, custodian of women. Okay. Very strange. That's what it says, guys. What is going on? Let the beauty preparations be given to them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be the queen instead of Vashti. This thing pleased the king, and he did so. In Shashan, the settled. I don't know. The more I have to say these words, the more my brain is like, I don't know what this is. Citadel. I'ma say it's citadel. There was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jar, the son of Shimi, the son of Kish. It literally says Benjamite. Kish had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captives who had been captured with Jeconi. Jecon? Yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't know this word. So yeah. We're just gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it. King of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar. I don't know. It's Nebuchadnezzar. I just read that completely wrong, guys. I don't know. Okay. The king of Babylon had carried away, and Mordecai had brought up Hadassah. That is Esther. Okay, she's Esther. Her original name is very strange. Okay, but Esther, his uncle's daughter. I don't understand anything I had just read before, but if you guys did, then good for you. So for she had neither father nor mother. Okay, so someone brought up Esther because she was an orphan. The young woman was lovely and beautiful when her father and mother died. Oh, they died. Mordecai took her as his own daughter. So it was when the king's command and this decree were heard, and when many young women gathered at Shushan, the citadel, under the custody of Hegai, that Esther also was taken to the king's place, and to the care of Hegai, the custodian of the women. Now the young women pleased him, and she obtained his favor. So he readily gave beauty preparations to her besides her allowance. Then 7 choice maidservants were provided for her from the king's palace, and he moved her and her maidservants to the best place in the house of the women. Esther had not revealed her people or family, for Mordecai had charged her not to reveal, and every day Mordecai paced in front of the court of the women's quarters to learn of Esther's welfare and what was happening to her. Each young woman's turn came to go into King Ahasuerus after she had completed 12 months preparation according to the regulations for the women. For thus were the days of their preparation. Apportioned 6 months with oil of myrrh. I don't know. In the 6 months with perfumes and preparations for beautifying women. Thus preparing, each young woman went to the king. Thus prepared, Each young woman went to the king, and she was given whatever she desired to take her from the women's quarters to the king's palace. In the evening she went, and in the morning she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Shazga, the king's wise men who kept the concubines. She would not go into the king again unless the king delighted in her, and called for her by name. Now when the return came for Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai. Okay, that kind of looks like Mordecai now. But I've been saying Mordecai. Or Mordecai. I don't know. That might be Mordecai. I have no idea. Mordecai? I don't know. Who had taken her as his daughter to go into the king, she requested nothing but what Hijah, the king's wise men, the consultant of women, advised. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all who saw her. So Esther was taken to the king into his royal palace in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than all the other women. She obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the pure females. So he sent the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Okay, I'm getting a phone call. I will get back to reading very soon. Okay, so we can get back to reading now. Okay. Let's see. Okay, instead of Vashti, then the king made a great feast, the feast of Esther, for his officials and servants, and he proclaimed a holiday in the provinces and gave gifts according to the generosity of the king. Okay, so he created a holiday around Esther becoming queen. Oh. Okay, so the uncle of Esther, who is her adopted father, apparently discovers a plot, which is very interesting. When the pure females were gathered together a second time, Mordecai sat within the king's gate. Now Esther had not revealed her family and her people, just as Mordecai had charged her, For Esther obeyed the command of Mordecai as when she was brought up by him. In those days, while Mordecai sat within the king's gate, two of the king's wise men, Bigthan, and Teresh, doorkeepers, became furious and sought to lay hands. Wait, what? And sought to lay hand. Became furious and sought to lay hands on the king. So the matter became known to Mordecai, who told Queen Esther, and Esther informed the king in Mordecai's name. And when an inquiry was made into the matter, it was confirmed, and both were hanged on gallows. I don't know what gallows are, but okay. And it was written in the book of the Chronicles in the presence of the king. Wait. Hold up. Isn't that a book? Corinthians, Colossians, Chronicles. But Chronicles is before this. Chronicles is 3 stories before Esther. It was written in the book of Chronicles. And it was written in the book of Chronicles in the presence of the king. What? Hold on. Is that the same spelling and everything? That's the same spelling and everything. That's crazy. Hold on. I just want to see if I can find it real quick. I know I'm supposed to be reading and I just wanted to read that. Okay, so this is explaining the families of everyone's. Makes sense. The kings. Okay, it might be in the second one because this is talking about the families of everyone, which is crazy. Wait, no, hold on. Okay, let me just keep going forward, and if I don't find it, then we're just gonna go back. Oh, hold up. Dwellers of Jerusalem. Oh, the gatekeepers. And the gatekeepers were Shalom. Hold on, let me see. All those chosen as gatekeepers were 212. Whoa. To come with them for his trusted officers were 4 chief gatekeepers. They were Levites in charge. Okay, I don't think that's... No. I don't think... If only I knew exactly what the things were. Oh, this is another thing about gatekeepers. don't know. Okay. So, I'm not sure where this is. Maybe it's in the second one because this is mainly talking about David. Oh, the queen. No. No, that's talking about something else. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find this. I'm not sure. Okay, I don't think I'm able to find it. Let me. What if I just. Let me see if I could find it. Okay. So let's see. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so I cannot find anything specific. So let's just continue reading. It says Haman's conspiracy against the Jews. After these things, the king, I'm not saying his name over and over again because I really don't know it. It is Ahasuerus. If you guys want to search him up, just put his name or king, his name in the Bible, or his name king in the Bible. So the king promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all princes who were with him. And all the king's servants who were with the king's gate bowed and paid homage to Haman. For so the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai would not bow or pay homage. Then the king's servants who were with the king's gate said to Mordecai, "Why do you transgress the king's command?" Now it happened, when they spoke to him daily, and he would not listen to them, that they told it to Haman to see whether Mordecai's words would stand. For Mordecai had told them that he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai did not bow or pay him homage, Haman was filled with wrath, but he disdained to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had told of the people of Mordecai. Instead, Haman sought to destroy all Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of the king, the people of Mordecai, the whole kingdom of the people of. Oh my goodness. So due to him being a Jew, he didn't want to bow down to that person. And now that person wants to kill all Jews. That's crazy. Hold up. I gotta write that down. I gotta underline that. But he will not bow down or pay. Was filled with wrath, but dismayed to lay hands on him alone. He sought out to destroy all the Jews who were throughout the whole kingdom of the land. In the first month, which is the month of Nisan, I don't know, it looks like Nissan, kind of. It's Nisan, Nissan. I don't know. And the 12th year of the king, they cast Pur, that is the lot, before Haman to determine the day and the month until it fell on the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. Then Haman said to the king, there is a certain people scattered and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of your kingdom, their laws are different from all other people's, and they do not keep the king's laws. Therefore, it is not fitting for the king to let them remain. Oh my goodness, that's insane. That's insane. I'm just underlining it. Therefore they shall for the king to let them remain. It is not fitting for the king to let them remain. That's crazy. Because little does the king know, his queen, his new queen Esther, is part of the Jews. So the king is not a king of God. That's crazy. That's crazy. It makes sense though. Most of the kings weren't. The majority of them weren't, right? Oh no, David. Okay. If it pleases the king, let a decree be written that they be destroyed. No. If it pleases the king. Because it was dependent on what the king wanted. And I will write 10,000 talents of silver into the hands of those who do the work, to bring it into the king's treasuries. So the king took his signet ring, I think it's signet ring, I don't know, from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of the Hammedatha, I don't know, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. He was the enemy of the Jews. My goodness. The enemy of the Jews. And the king said to Haman, the money and the people are given to you to do with them as seems good to you. That's insane. To do with them as seems good to you. That's crazy. The king's scribes were called on the 13th day of the first month, and a decree was written according to all that Haman had commanded to the king's satraps, I don't know, to the governors who were over each province, province, I don't know, province, I don't know, probably province, to the officials of all people, to every province, according I was reading perfectly normal, and then I got to that word, and that was just like, word. To every, according to the scripts, and to every people in their language, and in the name of the king, it was written and sealed with the king's signet ring. I think that's his signet ring. Signet ring? Probably signet ring. I don't know. It's SIGNET. And letters were sent by carriers into all the king's provinces to destroy and kill and annihilate annihilate all the Jews, both the young and old, little children and women, in one day, on the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar. And to plunder their possessions, a copy of the document was to be issued as law in every province, being published for all people that they should be ready for that day. Okay. And why don't we have a Jews Awareness Month? Or something like that? Jews History Month? Like, I know they got their holiday, the Hanukkah stuff, but like, it says 13th month, so technically that's January. Technically. So like, January should probably be like Jewish History Month. But obviously, we don't want religion. We don't want anyone to get upset. Let me just underline that. Oh no, it's the 13th day of the 12th month. The 13th day of the 12th month. That would be December 12th. No, December 13th. December 13th. According to our calendar. According to our calendar currently, it would be December 12th. Or, no, December 13th. 13th day of the 12th month. A copy of the document was to be issued as the law in every province, being published for all people that they should be ready for that day. The couriers went out hastened by the king's command, and the decree was proclaimed in Shushan, or Susuhan, Shushan, that Sitod, I don't know. The king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city was perplexed. Okay, we are back, and I'm gonna take that as a food break. Okay. So, it says, but the city, was perplexed. Which I don't know what perplexed means, but I would say it possibly means in chaos, because obviously that order for those people to be executed was submitted. So, all of this has to do with drinking, my goodness. Like, they sat down, drank, the whole thing in the beginning started because he was drinking, and now this, and then he goes ahead and drinks because of this amazing thing that he's doing that he thinks is so incredibly amazing. Esther agrees to help the Jews. Nice. When Mordecai learned all that had happened, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the midst of the city. He cried out with a loud and bitter cry. He went as far as the front of the king's gate, for no one might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. And in every province where the king's command and decree arrived, there was a great mourning among the Jews, with fasting, weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and wise men came and told her, and the queen was deeply distressed. Then she sent garments and clothed Mordecai, and take his sackcloth away from him, but he would not accept them. Then Esther called Hathach, one of the king's wise men, whom had appointed to attend her, and she gave him a command concerning Mordecai, to learn what and why this was. So Hathach, went out to Mordecai in the city square that was in front of the king's gate, and Mordecai told him all that had happened to him, and the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries to destroy the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the written decree for their destruction, which was given at Shushan, the city, that he might show it to Esther and explain it to her, that he might command her to go in to the king to make him supplication to him and plead before him for her people. So Hathach returned and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Then Esther spoke to Hathach and gave him a command for Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces now know that any man or woman who goes into the inner court to the king who has not been called, he has but one law: put all to death, except the one to whom the king holds out a golden scepter, that he may live. Yet I myself have not been called to go into the king these 30 days. So they told Mordecai Esther's words, and Mordecai told them to answer Esther, "Do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews, for if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish." Let me just underline that. Do not think in your heart that you will escape in the king's palace any more than the Jews. For if you remain completely silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arrive for the Jews in another place, but you and your father's house will perish. So pretty much an explanation of that is pretty much saying that if she does nothing and thinks that she will be safe because she is the queen, that the Jews will find another way will somehow get through that in a different way. And since if she chooses to do nothing, that she will end up falling. She will end up, I don't know, because it says relief and deliverance will arrive for the Jews from another place. So they'll be able to escape or something through someone else other than her if she doesn't choose to help them, but that her and her father's house will perish. So like her and like any remnants of her father will no longer exist. Anyway, yet who knows whether you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. I be saying stuff like that. Like, you never know why this is happening, what's happening, whatever like that. Oh my goodness, they're going back and forth with this. Then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, "Go gather all the Jews who are present in the city and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days or nights." For 3 days? For 3 days, night or day? Why 3 days specifically? That seems pretty coincidental. "My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther commanded him. That is crazy. See right there, guys? Before anything, like when she was about to face whatever she faced, she, not only herself, but with those around her and those who believed in what she did, had everyone praying and fasting for her so that she may make it through that, which is making me think now that I should probably be doing that. Not like starve myself, but like, I think I need to fast. Maybe. Possibly. Yeah. I'm not the best when it comes to fasting, but I can definitely like try maybe like a 2 or 3 day fast, maybe something like that. Yeah, I think I need to, because the way my life is going, it I think I need as much possible to get me closer to God, because I need his help. The next chapter, it's chapter 5, it says Esther's banquet. So, I don't know, maybe she got through it. Let's see. Now it happened on the 3rd day that Esther put on her royal robes and stood in the inner courts of the king's palace, across from the king's house, while the king sat on his royal throne in the royal house, facing the entrance of the house. So it was when the king saw Queen Esther standing in the court that she found favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. Then Esther went near and touched the top of the scepter, And the king said to her, What do you wish, Queen Esther? What is your request? It shall be given to you up to half the kingdom. Up to half the kingdom. That's crazy. It shall be given to you up to half the kingdom. Let's see if he sticks with that when she tells him that she's a Jew. Because he literally said that anything shall be given to her up to even half the kingdom. That's crazy. So Esther answered, If it pleases the king, let the king and Haman come today to the banquet that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, Bring Haman quickly, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman went to the banquet that Esther had prepared. That seems kind of weird. Like, that had to be God right there, because like the fact that he got rid of his last wife just because she wouldn't go to him, and then with Esther, he's like, I will follow your commands. That's 100% God right there, especially with since they prayed and fasted and did all that. Only through God something like that can happen. Because if not, God probably softened his heart for that, because she probably would have been dead if not. Okay. So then the king said, okay, I read that. At the banquet of wine, the king said to Esther, What is your petition? Petition? Yeah, petition. It shall be granted you. What is your request? Up to half the kingdom. It shall be done. That's insane. And then Esther answered and said, My petition and request is that if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it pleases the king to grant my petition and fulfill my request, then let the king and Haman come to the banquet which I will prepare for them tomorrow. I will do as the king has said, and tomorrow I will do as the king has said. Haman's plot against Mordecai. That's what it says. It says that so Haman went out that day joyful with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, and that he did not stand or tremble before him, he was filled with indignation against Mordecai. Nevertheless, Haman restrained himself and went home, and he sent and called for his friends and his wife Zerhesh, I don't know. Then Haman told them of his great riches, the multitude of his children, everything in which the king had permitted him, and now he had advanced him above the officials and the servants of the kings. Moreover, Haman said, Besides, Queen Esther invited no one but me to come with the king to the banquet that she's prepared. And tomorrow I again invited by her along the king. Yet this avails me nothing so long as I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate. So he's saying that since he's seen Mordecai at the king's gate, that everything that has been given to him means nothing. Wow. shoot, that hurt, that hits hard, because like he's been giving all this amazing stuff, like even though like she's doing it to try and stop what he already had put in place. He's been given all these things, and so far he thinks everything's going good for him, but due to that one person, that one thing that he feels is in his way, that is messing up his stuff, he's upset. He's not going to be happy until he gets what he wanted. And that's how I've been lately. That's how I've been lately. Even though I've been trying not to be like that, that's how it's been lately. I've gotten so many amazing things. Everything has been great, yet due to the very small and not so important things that I want not happening, I can't be happy. Like, I am happy, but there's the part of me that's not happy because that one specific thing isn't happening, just like this guy who wants the Jews dead. That's crazy. I definitely need to underline this. Like, literally, he says, yet this avails me nothing, so long as I see the thing that upsets him. Yet all his riches, all the joys in his life add up to nothing because of that one issue he has. Okay. Then his wife and all his friends said to him, let the gallows be made 50 cubits high in the morning. Suggest to the king that Mordecai, Esther's uncle, be hanged on the 50 cubic heights. Okay, so I don't know what gallows are, but his family and friends want the king to make the gallows 50 cubits height, 50 cubits high, and then have Esther's uncle hanged from it, which is kind of crazy. That seems a little bit excessive, like a little very excessive. Then go merrily with the king to the banquet. Bad company. And that's on being around bad company, surrounding yourself around bad people with bad decision making skills and whatever like that. And wow. Then go merrily with the king to the banquet. Like, the fact that they said then go merrily with the king to the banquet, that's insane. Also, who is writing this? Because obviously the Bible was written by people who either experienced the stuff or heard about the stuff from God. So who is writing this that knows the point of view of Esther and Haman's. Because obviously it's not the point of view of the king anymore. Because at first it was kind of the point of view of the king, but like now it's the point of view of all three of them, including Mordecai's. Maybe it's the point of view of one of the housekeepers. No, wise men, right? Could be. I don't know. I have no idea. And the thing pleased Haman, so he had the gallows made. Okay. So since that word keeps popping up so much, I don't know if I'm gonna regret this or not, but I'm gonna search up what that means. I'm gonna say in the Bible too, just to be safe. Well, it's not gonna be safe either way. Oh. Okay, so apparently it was used to describe the cross upon which Jesus was crucified. Wait, huh? The Roman was the cross, and in the older translations of the Bible, the gallows was used to describe the cross. Okay, it was used to describe the cross. Because this is not a cross. Like the images here, that's not a cross, not at all. My goodness. Okay, so if you've ever, I used to watch Hocus Pocus all the time. If you remember the beginning of Hocus Pocus, like when they find out that the witches possibly did something to, or no, that they did something to the little girl. Remember what happens after they all find out that? So that thingy that they use on the witches is what the family members of Haman want them to do to Mordecai, and they want them to make it 50 cubic height, 50 cubits high, which I don't know what 50 cubits high is in their time. Actually, let me see. Hey Google. Google's not a thing anymore, and that's very upsetting to me. It's now something called Gemini. Hey Google, but still responds to Hey Google. What? Okay. Hey Google. Hey Google. What is the equivalent to 50 cubits high? Let's see. Wait, what? The cubit was an ancient unit of length based on the distance from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. Okay. What? Okay, that had to be an over-exaggeration of that, because there is no way that they actually tried making one of those 75 feet high just for Mordecai. That's insane. The family said 70 cubits high, which apparently, no, they said 50. So apparently that's from your elbow to the tip of your finger. That's a cubit, which is approximately 18 inches from your elbow to the tips of your finger, which I think my arm's a little short because I've measured my arm before, and from my elbow to the tips of my fingers, that's like 12 or 15 inches. And here it says approximately 18. So, I don't know. It depends on the arm you're measuring. But, they wanted his thing to be 75 feet tall, 75 feet high, like off the ground, above in the sky. That's insane. That is so insane. Like, how would they even make something like that? That's crazy. Okay. So, and it says under that, it says, and the thing pleased Haman, so he had the gallows made. He had it made. They made the 75-foot tall thing to annihilate, get rid of Mordecai. Okay, chapter 6. That night the king could not sleep. So one was commanded to bring the book of the records of the chronicles, and they were read before the king, and it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthan and Teresh, the two kings' wise men, the doorkeepers, who had sought to lay hands on the king. Oh, nice. Got in the works. that makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't even think of that. Because so now the king knows that that Haman wants Mordecai dead. But Esther had it so that Mordecai was the one that told the king of what he heard of his wise men wanting to get rid of the king. So Mordecai can choose to favor, the king could choose to favor Mordecai because of that and not go along with Haman. Because back then it was like life for life type of situation, because like they would actually get rid of people back then. So it was like life for life. You saved the king's life, the king owes you your life type of situation. Sometimes, maybe, depending. But that could definitely be what happens, which is crazy. And it was found written, the king's wise men, the doorkeepers who had sought to lay hands on the king. Then the king said, "What honor or dignity has been bestowed on Mordecai for this?" The king's servants who attended him said, "Nothing has been done for him." Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. So the king said, "Who is in the court?" Now Haman had just entered the outer court of the king's palace to suggest that the king hang him on the gallows that he had prepared for him. The king's servants said to him, Haman. Okay, hold on. Let me calm down because I am too whatever about this. Okay. Let me calm down and actually find where my place was. Now Haman had just entered the outer courts of the king's palace and suggested that the king hang Mordecai on the gallows that had been prepared for him. The king's servants said to him, "Haman is here, standing in the court." And the king said, Let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king asked him, "What shall be done for the man whom the king delights to honor. Now Haman thought in his heart, whom would the king delight to honor more than me? Wow, my goodness. Oh, that's kind of crazy. He thought so highly of himself that obviously he thought that he was the one that the king delighted to honor. My goodness, that's crazy. That's crazy. He's thinking highly of himself. Oh. I feel like I'm being called out by this guy. I feel like the Bible calling me out by... I feel like God calling me out by having me read about this guy. Like, I thought this story was about Esther, but it's about this guy. Like, well, it's kind of about the king, the guy, and Esther, and the uncle of Esther, but it's like... It's mainly about this guy. And, like, how selfish, in a way, he is. I don't know if that's the word. But, like, he thinks highly of himself. And I think highly of myself. In a way. Like, not that I think highly of myself. Like, oh my goodness, I deserve so many things. It's just like, I expect things to go certain ways for me. I think highly of certain things, certain situations. And that's what I'm doing currently. I'm thinking highly of myself. I'm thinking, why wouldn't that happen? Why wouldn't things go my way? I'm putting my expectations on my life way too high compared to where my life is at right now. I need to underline that. This situation is like if someone were to go to you specifically asking you what they should get someone as a present, but since they're asking you and they're saying like, oh, what should they get someone super special to them? That's what the situation is. They're asking what should they get someone super special to them as a present, and then obviously they're asking a certain person that, so that person is then going to believe that they're talking about themselves. So he's going to say what he would want. Okay, it's like if I were to be talking to you right now. You think you're someone that deserves something from me, or someone that I see as highly or something. No. Okay, let's say I'm talking to you, it's your birthday, or like your birthday was last week, I forgot to get you a present. So if someone else's birthday is coming up that I actually remember their birthday, and I'm asking you whose birthday it was last week, what should I get a person for their birthday? What should I get someone for a birthday present? And since it was just your birthday, you're thinking that, oh, you didn't forget, or you just don't know what to get me. So then you're going to give me what you would want as a present for your birthday, not knowing that that present is not for you. That's pretty much what this is. I just blanked out because I was trying to think more, but that's pretty much it. That's the situation, because he thinks that the thing, um, whatever is to be done, is going to be done to him, because he thinks that the king thinks highly of him. So pretty much, he is like, he thought the king was talking about him, which is why I gave the birthday example. Like, if I were to ask you what I should get someone if it was their birthday, or if it's their birthday, and then you think I'm talking about you because it was just your birthday, but I had forgotten about your birthday and was thinking of someone else's birthday. Except the king didn't forget anything. It's just the king wanted to repay the favor of the guy who saved his life. Okay. So, let's continue reading. Now Haman thought in his heart, whom would the king delight to honor more than himself? More than Haman. And Haman answered the king, for the man who the king delights to honor, let a royal robe be brought, which the king has worn, and a horse on which the king has ridden, which has a royal crest placed on its head. Then let this robe and horse be delivered to the hand of the one of the king's most noble princes, that he may array the man whom the king delights to honor. Then parade him on horseback through the city square, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. That's insane. Wow. God really had that plan from the beginning, because at first he was just, I don't know, because that's crazy, because obviously the king was always going to make Haman the like under person of him, like the person higher than everyone else, but under the king still. God just had to put Esther in there somehow, and then the rest was done. That's crazy. That's crazy. So God, wow. Huh. So that's kind of crazy, because God allowed the king to be mad at his first wife, the queen, the first queen, in order to then get Esther as queen, in order for all of this to happen. Okay. Okay. Then the king said to Haman, hurry, take the robe and the horse, as you suggested, and do so for Mordecai, the Jew who sits within the king's gate. That's insane. Oh my goodness. Leave nothing undone, all that you have spoken. So Haman took the robe and the horse, arrayed Mordecai, and led him on horseback through the city square, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor. Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah, no, I think this is exactly literally like what's happening to me. Because obviously Haman thought very highly of himself, and he thought that just because he was um in charge or in charge of specific things or could make certain rules, that he was going to get what he wanted. And then he thought that he was the highly seen one and said all that he would want for him doing absolutely nothing. And just for that to turn around and be that he gets nothing of what he said and everything goes to the person who he originally wanted to get rid of. That's crazy. After Mordecai went back to the king's gate, Afterward, Mordecai went back to the king's gate, but Haman hurried to his house mourning and with his head covered. When Haman told his wife and all his friends everything that had happened to him, his wise men and his wife said to him, "If Mordecai, before whom have been begun to fall, is of Jewish descent, you will not prevail against him, but surely fall before him." While they were still talking with him, the king's wise men came and hastened to bring Haman to the banquet which Esther had prepared. Okay, hold up. If Mordecai before him you have begun to fall, who you have begun to fall. If Mordecai before whom you have begun to fall is of Jewish descent, you will not prevail against him, but surely before him fall. But what do they mean? I'm so confused by that, because at first they were all like, oh wait, did they not know that he was a Jew? Did they just think that he wanted him dead for no reason and thought that that was okay? But then now, since they know he's a Jew, they're like, oh, you're not going to succeed at what you wanted because he is a Jew. Okay, let me move this aside. Okay. So, kind of crazy. Okay, so while they were still talking with him, the king's wise men came to the banquet and hasted to bring Haman to the banquet which Esther had prepared. Haman Well, he definitely did fall. He definitely did fall. Before each like paragraph, pretty much, my Bible gives me a little summary of the chapter or the little paragraph, and let's just say he did fall. Because it says, but him will surely fall. But will that Haman will not prevail against him, but will surely fall before him. And yeah. So let's keep reading. So the king and Haman went to dine with Queen Esther, and on the second day at the banquet of wine, the king again said to Esther, "What is your petition, Queen Esther. It shall be granted to you. And what is your request? Up to half the kingdom it shall be done. He really want to know what she wants. That's kind of crazy. Like, he's willing to give her anything. Up to half the kingdom. Then Queen Esther answered and said, if I have found favor in your sight, O king, and if it pleases the king, let my life be given me. Let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For what we have been sold, my people and I, to be destroyed, to be killed, to be annihilated, had we been sold as male and female slaves, I would have held my tongue, although the enemy could never compensate for the king's loss. So the king answered and said, Queen Esther, who is he? Where is he? Who would dare presume in his heart to do such a thing? And Esther said, the advisor and the enemy is this wicked Haman. So Haman was terrified before the king and queen. Then the king arose in his wrath from the banquet of wine and let into the palace garden. But Haman stood before Queen Esther, pleading for his life, for he saw that evil was determined against him by the king. When the king returned from the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine, Haman had fallen across the couch where Esther was. Then the king said, will he also assault the queen while I am in the house? As the word left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Now I don't know. One of the wise men said, King, look, the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who spoke good on the king's behalf, is standing at the house of Haman. The king said, hang him on it. So they hung Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then the king's wrath subsided. That's pretty insane. Doing what he felt was right, he got himself done for. he got himself done. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. On that day, the king gave Queen Esther the house of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, and Mordecai came before the queen, for Esther had told how he was related to her. So the king took off his signet ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. And Esther appointed Mordecai over the house of Haman. Now Esther spoke again to the king. Fell down at his feet, and implored him with tears to counteract the evil of Haman and the Agagite, I don't know, and the scheme which he had devised against the Jews. And the king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it pleases the king, and I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seems right to the king. I am pleasing in his eyes. Let it be written to revoke the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, I don't know, which he wrote to annihilate the Jews who are all in the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that will come to my people, or how can I endure to see the destruction of my countrymen? The king said to Queen Esther and to Mordecai, the Jew, indeed, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and they hanged him on the gallows because he tried to lay his hand on the Jews. You yourself write a decree concerning the Jews as you please in the king's name, and seal it with the king's signet ring. I don't know. For whatever is written in the king's name and sealed with the ring, no one can revoke. So the king's scribes were called at that time in the 3rd month, which is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day. And it is written according to all that Mordecai commanded to the Jews, the satraps, the governors, the princes, the provinces, from India to Ethiopia, 127 provinces in all, to every province in its own script, to every people in their own language, and to the Jews in their own script and language. And he wrote in the name of King Ahasuerus. That's the king that we've been talking about here. That it's been talking about here. Sealed it with the king's signet ring, and sent letters by carriers and horseback, riding on royal horses, bred from swift steeds. By these letters the king permitted the Jews who were in every city to gather together and protect their lives, to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the forces of any people or province that would assault them, both little children and women, and to plunder their possessions on one day in all the provinces of the king. On the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, a copy of the document was to be issued as a decree in every province and published for all people, so that the Jews would be ready on that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. My eyes are going blurry. Avenge themselves. The carriers who rode on royal horses went out hastened and pressed on by the king's command, and the decree was issued in Shahan, the citadel. I don't know. It's that thing again. So Mordecai went out. I don't know what that name is. Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, with a great crown of gold and a garment of fine linen and purple, and the city rejoiced and was glad. The Jews had light and gladness, joy and honor, and in every and I lost my place. And in every province in the city, wherever the king's command and decree came, the Jews had joy, gladness, and feasts a holy day. Then many of the people of the land became Jews, because fear of the Jews fell upon them. The Jews. Oh, okay. Now, in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day, the time came for the king's command and his decree to be executed. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them. On the opposite accord, in that the Jews themselves overpowered those who hated them. The Jews gathered together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king, to lay hands on those who sought their harm, and no one could withstand them, because fear of them fell upon all people. Hold on. Okay. Upon all people. And the officials of the provinces, the the governors, and all those doing the king's works helped the Jews, because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them, for Mordecai was great in the king's palace, and his fame spread throughout all the provinces. For this man Mordecai became increasingly prominent. Thus the Jews defeated their enemies with the stroke of the sword, with slaughter and destruction, and did what they pleased with those who hated them. And in the city, the Jews killed and destroyed 500 men. Also Parshendeth, a bunch of people's names. The 10 sons of Haman. Oh, okay. They killed the 10 sons of Haman. But they did not lay a hand on the plunder. Who's the plunder? On that day, the number of those who were killed in the city was brought to the king, and the king said to Queen Esther, the Jews have killed and destroyed 500 men in the city, and 10 sons of Haman. What have they done in the rest of the king's province? Now, what is your petition? It shall be granted to you. Or what is your further request? It shall be granted to you. It shall be done. Then Esther said, if it pleases the king, let it be granted to the Jews who are in the city to do again tomorrow. Whoa. Okay. According to today's decree, and let Haman's 10 sons be hanged on the gallows. So the king commanded this be done, and the decree was issued in the city, and they hung Haman's sons and the Jews who were in the city gathered together again on the 14th day of the month of Adar, and killed 300 men at the city, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. Who was that? I don't remember reading about that person. The remainder of the Jews in the king's province gathered together and protected their lives. So, altogether, they killed 800 people. But, like, those people wanted to kill them first, kind of. Not really. It was Haman. But then it's like, those people, like, they both wanted to do it, but, like, obviously, God's people ain't gonna be the ones perishing. But that's kind of crazy. Like, the king went all insane king on his first wife, but then he's like, I will do whatever you want, Esther. That's that's some God stuff right there. Because yeah. Let me see. I'm almost done reading it. It's almost finished, guys. Oh my goodness, I'm about to read a whole book from the Bible. This was 10 chapters, by the way, guys. But they did not lay a hand on the plunder. The remainder of the Jews in the king's province gathered together to protected their lives, had the rest from their enemies, and killed 75,000 of their enemies, but they did not lay a hand on the plunder. This was on the 13th day of the month of Adar, and on the 14th of the month they rested and made it the day of feasting and gladness. On the 14th month. What does it mean 14th month? Because we've only known that our calendar is wrong by like 13 months. 13 months. Because it says and on the 14th month. Oh no. Of the month. On the 14th of the month. On the 13th day and then the 14th day. And on the 14th day they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Hold up. I kind of want to... I want to check something. Okay. I don't know. I just wanted to check. Okay, we're almost done though. So let me get off my phone. Okay. This is the last chapter before the last chapter, which the last chapter is like barely even a chapter. Okay. So, but the Jews were at the city assembly together on the 13th day, as well as on the 14th day, and on the 15th day of the month they rested, and they made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore the Jews of the villages who dwelt in the unwalled towns celebrated the 14th day of the month of Adar with gladness and feasting as a holiday and for sending presents to one another. I was trying to figure out which holiday this was, and I was trying to see if, like, maybe possibly there was a chance that it could have been Thanksgiving, but no. But because obviously, like, maybe it could have been, but like, I guess not. No, makes sense that it's not. But with gladness and feasting as a holiday for sending presents to one another. Could this have been the original Christmas? In a way, because it does say on the 13th month, and the 13th month would have been the last month of the year, which according to our calendar, December is the last month of the year. But actually no, it probably would have been like January or something, but it's like the calendars are all messed up now, so this could have been the original Christmas in a way. But like, that's kind of crazy. And let me just reread how many people it said, because it says that all together, or no, let me see, 300, nope, 75,000 people. They killed 75,000 of their enemies. These were the Jews. These were the Jews, guys. Ooh, people were insane back then. And I bet they didn't have any population issues either. I bet they didn't like obviously not overpopulation. I mean like underpopulation. I bet there was no like concern about the world's not populated enough. You guys need to stop doing that and this and that and whatever like that. Like, yeah. Let me search something up real quick. Hey Google. Hey Google. About how many people are on this earth at this very moment? Because last time I checked, it was 8 billion. So apparently it's still around 8.2 billion, even though for some reason Elon Musk or someone around his liking or whatever like that, someone had said that the population has gone down to 6 billion people, even though Google, or the new Google, has just stated that it's still 8.2 billion, unless they're just trying to make people believe that, because it's been 8.2 billion for the last like 5 years now. Which I kind of don't understand, because when COVID was going on, I had heard somewhere, I don't remember where, I think it was maybe the news, that like 2 billion people had died due to COVID. But apparently that was false, because when I checked Google on how many people were currently alive, it said like 7.8 billion. And that was in 2020. Which still seemed kind of I don't know, concerning in a way. I don't know. I don't know. But let's see. They celebrated as a holiday and for sending presents to one another. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters to all the Jews near and far who were all in the provinces of the king, to establish among them that they should celebrate yearly the 14th and the 15th days of the month of Adar, as the days on which the Jews had rest from their enemies, as the month which turned from sorrow to joy for them, and for mourning to a holiday. Okay. Hey Google. Hey Google. What day and month would Adar from the Bible be celebrated? Hey Google. Hey Google. When would Adar from the Bible be celebrated? I don't think I'm saying this. Oh, I did say it right. It is Adar. Oh. It's either February or March. That's crazy. Hold on. Okay, so pretty much this was saying that like earlier, I don't know where exactly, but it was saying that what they were celebrating, or what, like the month of that day was the 13th month, I think. I'm pretty sure. I cannot find it currently because I have been reading too much. But from what I remember, it said that the 13th month, I'm pretty sure, it had said the 13th month. So the fact that it would be celebrated in either February or March, depending on their calendar, because it says it shifts on the Georgina calendar. It's celebrated on the 15th of Adar, known as Sashin Purim. But the dates of Purim shift on the Georgina calendar, but it typically falls in February or March, which means that right there, the Bible is pretty much like proving the fact that there are more than 12 months, or that like the beginning of the calendar isn't supposed to start in January, because the 13th month is supposed to be like the very last month of the calendar. And obviously like the names of the month apparently go along with like the like what it should be, like I don't remember what that video was talking about, but I've seen multiple videos on it, and it's like a person explaining like how each month means like first, second, fifth, third, fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth. I can't count. First, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The numbers, like each month's name correlates with a number. Well, I don't know if they said each month, but most of the months correlate with a number. So it's like, that's So, yeah. Hey Google. Hey Google. Are there any holidays in January? Well, obviously New Year's. Third Monday in January is Martin Luther King Day. Beyond these holidays, oh, there's a Christian holiday in January. Orthodox Christmas, Lunar New Year, International Holocaust Remembrance. Okay. Well, the fact that it's a holiday, like it says that it's a holiday that's celebrated either February or either February or March on the 15th is kind of crazy. Mainly due to the fact that it's not on my calendar. Which makes sense, kind of, because, like, why would it be? Because obviously not a lot of religious holidays, especially specific religious holidays, are put on a calendar. But if it was done, if it was, like, if that stuff did happen on the month with it, which is currently February, then that's kind of crazy because on the 14th is Valentine's Day. So, like, if they did all of that on the 13th, 14th, and then rested on the 15th, which literally, according to my calendar for next year, all 3 of those days are the weekend, and the 15th, which they rested and celebrated and whatever like that, is on a Sunday. Which I don't know if that's how it's been, like, every year. Let me see. No, that's not how it is every year. But next year is how it's going to be. Next year is going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let me see for this year. This year it was not either. This year it was Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. So next year could be like the exact date years ago from when this took place, which is kind of crazy. That's crazy to think about, though. That is. What month is it? Is it not March? No, it's May. My goodness, I'm forgetting what month it is. Memorial Day is on Monday. Today's Tuesday? Okay. I'm getting distracted now. I'm almost done with this. I need to finish reading this. Okay, so Mordecai wrote these and sent letters to all the Jews near and far. I read that. As the days on which the Jews had rest from their enemies, as the month which was turned from sorrow to joy for them, and from mourning to a holiday, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and sending presents to one another, and gifts to the poor. So Jews accepted the custom which they had begun, as Mordecai had written to them, because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the enemy of all Jews, had plotted against the Jews to annihilate them, and had cast that is the lot, to consume them and destroy them. But then Esther came before the king. He commanded by letter that this wicked plot which Haman had devised against the Jews should return on his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. So they called these days Purim. Huh. Just as my phone said, because I was confused on how they got the name Purim, unless they did something there. After the name therefore, because of the words of this letter, what they had seen concerning this matter, and what had happened to them, the Jews established and imposed it upon themselves and their descendants and all who would join them, that without fail they should celebrate these 2 days every year according to the prescribed time, that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, that these days of Purim should not fail to be observed among the Jews, and that the memory of them should not perish among their descendants. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail. I don't know what I just said there. Her dad, the daughter of her dad, with Mordecai the Jew, wrote with full authority to confirm the second letter about Purim, and Mordecai sent letters to all the Jews to 127 provinces of the kingdom of the city. I don't know how to say the city's name. With words of peace and truth to confirm these days of Purim at their appointed time, as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had prescribed, yeah, I think, for them, and as they had decreed for themselves and their descendants concerning matters of their fasting and lamenting. So the decree of Esther confirmed these matters of Purim, and it was written in the book. And the king imposed tribute on the land and on the islands of the sea. Now all acts of his power and his might, and the account of the greatness of Mordecai, to which the king advised him, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the king of Media and Persia? For Mordecai the Jew was second to the king. I don't know his name still. And was great among the Jews, and well received by the multitude of his brethren, seeking the good of his people and speaking peace to all his countrymen. And that's that, guys. My goodness, that was crazy. So, yeah, no. I just read the whole book of Esther, and as you can see, it's getting darker. That's not due to my lighting, it's due to outside. It is literally, like 3 hours away from, sunset. So, let me go back to Chronicles and see if I can slowly go through and see if I can find out if there is anything about this in Chronicles. Because I'm very confused. Because I do not see, from like how I'm going through it, I don't see anything. I personally don't see anything that goes along with it. So I'm not sure if it's just me or something like that. It could just be me because I'm not actually really reading these. I'm just going through it. Okay, so I don't think I'm finding it, but yeah, that's crazy. Like the whole thing about I forget his name already. Haman. It's Haman. How that whole thing was about Haman, pretty much. Not really about him, but it was about the Jews and stuff. But sorry, I need water after reading all that. But due to literally due to everything that happened, he ended up getting himself ended. He got an ending he was not expecting, due to himself, which is kind of crazy because with everything I'm dealing with, it kind of feels like it relates, but it relates to the wrong person, sadly enough. It relates to the person who destroyed his life. And like, if that's to say that like I'm destroying my life because I'm not thinking correctly, because he was not thinking correctly in that he was thinking that he was higher than certain people. He thought highly of himself. He thought that nothing could go wrong for him. And he thought that he was just going to get rid of his issues. That he could get rid of his issue and it would be perfectly fine. But then the king found out that he was trying to get rid of his issue, which was something that the king found favor in. Someone that the king found favor in. And instead, the king got rid of Haman. So, yeah. this was crazy. Very crazy. Yeah. Wow. You would think reading something like that, people would pay attention more to the main characters, but or relate more to the main characters, but shoot, God really got me there with that one. I related almost 100%, not with the similar situation, but like similar thoughts and actions in a way. Not identical, but like being in a situation where Haman was put in a situation where he thought that he was in control. He can do what he wanted, he can get what he wanted, and nothing would come back to him because he was at a high position. And it turns out that he wasn't really. That there was a way that that position was going to be taken from him. And not just that, his life. And like that's kind of crazy, guys. That's pretty insane. I don't know, but that's what like my main focus on the Book of Esther was because of what I'm going through currently. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go lay in my bed and think about this while I play a game, or maybe I'm just gonna sit here and think about it while I play a game or something. I don't know, but that was something. That was really something. So yeah, I'm gonna go now. Hopefully you guys were able to hear me, and hopefully the audio in the background wasn't too loud, and hopefully that audio in the background is actually genuinely not copyrighted, because if it is, then I guess I'm going to get another copyright thing on YouTube, but let's hope not. But yeah, I'm gonna go now. So goodbye, God bless you guys. I hope you guys have a great day, great night, great whatever it is for you. I will see you guys next time. Maybe with a game, maybe with more Bible reading. Who knows? Because the Bible reading on live is actually helping me genuinely, because without being live, I would not feel the need to finish reading, because I've started reading multiple times on my own, but I've never completed reading on my own. I've always gotten halfway and then it's just become tiring or too much for me, and being live gives me that little tiny boost that I need to finish this. I can't leave it half because I never finish things that I leave half. Like that one game. Please don't ask me when I'm going to play the rest of that game, because I have no clue. And if you don't know what game I'm talking about, you can probably find it like a few videos down from this one on my videos. But yeah, goodbye, God bless you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.